Welcome to Get the Right Job. I'm Jeff Magnuson. In today's episode, we're going to talk about salary negotiation. And the first part of this episode will be some practical tips on how to go about bringing up salary negotiation, what to say, what not to say, how to answer inappropriate questions that may be posed to you, and how to do the research to provide companies with a salary range in the beginning part of the negotiation. In the second part, we'll talk about what you have to consider when you're finally presented with a final written offer. This is such an important episode because so many job seekers in their careers don't really have the opportunity to practice salary negotiation very often, whereas companies do it all the time. And it's so important for you to understand what to say and what not to say at any point along the way, because saying the wrong thing even once can really jeopardize you maximizing your potential for the offer. Salary negotiations, believe it or not, begin immediately with the job description. Companies can choose whether they post a salary range or not within the job description. And as you've probably already seen, most of the job descriptions out there do not have a salary range. They are not required to put them in. I wish they did. It would move things along a lot faster, but they have every right to keep that to themselves. The good news is that you can still effectively negotiate without this information. And we'll get into the steps in just a second. But one thing is for certain. For any legitimate job opening, companies already know what they are willing to pay a new employee, even if it's not stated in the job description. In most companies, budgets must be established and approved, sometimes by very senior people, as employees are a large expense for companies. What companies do really well is not talk about this. So they play their cards very close to their vest, but so can you. With you just knowing a few tips, you will be able to go toe-to-toe to make sure that you are paid fairly. So when do you bring up salary negotiation? As a general rule of thumb, you don't want to bring it up at all until the company brings it up first. And companies will bring it up at all different times. Sometimes if you're working with a headhunter or a third-party recruiter, they will bring it up. Other times, your first call with HR, they'll bring it up. Or they may not bring it up toward the end. Every company's different. I can't predict how one is going to behave over the other. But one thing that you should do, if you are invited to interview either in person or over Skype, don't agree to a second interview until you and the company talk money, even if it's from a high level. You have to make sure that you and the company are on roughly the same page. Otherwise, there's no point in you continuing with the discussions if you're far apart on what you want versus what they are willing to pay you. How do these conversations begin? Again, usually the company or a recruiter will initiate this conversation. And one of the biggest takeaways for you from this episode is to watch out for a question that used to get asked all the time for years and is slowly starting to peter out as it's becoming illegal in many states and cities around the United States. And that question is, what is your current salary, or what was your salary history? For years, companies used this question as a basis to determine what they are willing to pay you for this role. And if you were underpaid, which a lot of people are, they would give you a little bit more than you're currently making, so you're still making more money, but you still may not be getting paid what the market dictates. And that is not fair, that is not right, and that is why from this point on, you are to never give away your current or your previous salary to anyone ever again. What you are going to do is use research to give them a range to then determine if it's in their ballpark, which I already said they know what they're willing to pay. And I'll get into that in just a moment. Additionally, some companies actually had the audacity to request W-2 or other personal tax forms from people. Never give these documents out to anybody. They are for your use anybody you wish to show them to in your family, and maybe an accountant. That is all. Your current salary at a different company, at a different role, or your salary history is completely irrelevant when discussing the salary needs for this new job in this new role. Don't give away this information again. It's the most important thing you can take away from this episode. So how do you diffuse the question if somebody says, what's your salary history or what are you currently making? That's really easy, but let's take 2 examples. So number 1, in the past, I was given a very general job description and I wasn't told who the company was or what the role title was. And I was asked my salary history. And I said, I'm sorry, but I'm not comfortable giving away that information, but I'll be happy to give you a range once I learn who the company is and more about this role. And that was it. They pushed back a little and said, oh, can you give me an estimate? I said, no, but I will give you a range once I learn more about this role. That's all you have to do. Alternatively, if you know the company and you have the full job description, then based on your research, which I'll get to in a second, you can say, I'm not really comfortable giving away that information, but I'm looking for a base salary in the range of 95 to 105. Will that work for you? Or will that work for this company, depending upon who you're speaking to? Now the ball is back in their court. You started the salary negotiation, which is what they wanted. It's a technique. They wanted you to speak first, but now you're giving them a market value based on your research. And now it's their turn to say, yes, that's fine. No, that's too high, etc. If they say that it's mandatory that you give us your W-2 forms or your past salary history, otherwise we can't move on, then move on from them. You don't want to work there. A company that doesn't respect your financial privacy likely is broken in other ways too, and you can't run away fast enough. They don't deserve you. How do you prepare? If you are given a full job description, so you know the company, you know the title, you have to do the research to come prepared to be able to provide that range to get the negotiation started. You want to use websites like Glassdoor, LinkedIn, Salary.com, and Payscale.com to look at similar roles in similar companies in similar geographic regions to find out what those companies are paying. And the more research you do, the clearer this picture will become. So you can confidently give a $10,000 wide range to at least get the conversation started. And it's very important too to factor in other things that may not necessarily be something you think about right away, which is how will your commute be affected? Will it be a shorter or longer commute? Does the new company offer health benefits? What are the hours going to be like? Can you work from home? There are a lot of other factors that go into your range, so try to get as much information as you can. Keep in mind, if they come back and say, oh, by the way, your health benefits won't start for a year after, or we don't offer benefits, then you can go back and readjust your range because now you have to pay for health benefits out of pocket. Don't be afraid to speak up. Another item that's really important to mention is that your base salary is not the only thing that's negotiable here. That's one item. That's obviously the biggest piece of your offer package, but you may have a bonus percentage that you're eligible for. And that percentage is something that can be negotiated, potentially. The number of vacation days or PTO, paid time off that you get. How many days a week, a month you can work from home or work remotely. What your job title will be. How many hours you work or the times that you work. So for example, if you're expected to work roughly 8 or 9 hours a day, and a lot of people come in at 9 a.m., but you're a morning person, maybe they'll allow you to come in at 7 and leave at 3 or 4. If that's important to you, that can be negotiated. Remember, you're not demanding anything from the company, you're just asking. You are presenting it as options. There's no reason why you can't have a professional discussion with someone at the company about these topics. Another point, anytime you are discussing a salary negotiation, make sure you are doing it over the phone or on a video chat, not email. You want to make sure you're having these discussions in person to make your points very clear so they can hear it in your voice and not misinterpret something you may put in an email. The only document that matters is your final offer letter, which will contain, among other things, your job title, your start date, your base salary, your bonus potential, your vacation time, the name of your direct manager, and your benefits, along with likely a lot of legal jargon. And be sure that you read the entire letter before signing it. And if you don't understand something in the letter, get on the phone with somebody and have them explain it to you until you are comfortable with every word in that letter. Let's say you're presented with an offer in writing. And remember, in the beginning of the episode, your base salary range was between $95,000 and $105,000. And this offer is for $90,000 base salary, 10% bonus percentage, 2 weeks vacation, no remote work, but you can be flexible on your hours. What do? You're not thrilled, but you have to understand that you don't have to sign that. Take the time to digest it, read over the contract, as I said, or the document. Make sure you understand every single term that's in there. Set up time with either your recruiter or somebody at the company, whoever your contact is, for a 10-minute phone call. And you could say something like, "Thank you so much for the offer. I'm really excited to join the company. The base salary is lower than I was expecting. I wanted to talk about how we can address it." And they may say, "Okay, I don't have a lot of wiggle room on the salary. Is there anything else we can talk about?" That's possible. There's any number of combinations that can come up. But for ease of this example, let's say you could say, "Look, I'll tell you what. If you give me another week vacation, so I have 3 weeks vacation, and I'm allowed to work from home 2 days a month, I will agree to this." And they say, "Okay, well, let me check, blah, blah, blah." And maybe then they come back and say, "Okay, we can do 3 weeks vacation. We'll give you 1 day a month remote work. And I was able to raise the base salary to $92,500. Will that work for you?" Or they'll say, "And that is our final offer. And I will send you a document today and take a few days and let us know." So now you're at the point of the final offer. So what do? And this is the last part of the podcast episode. This is where you need to take a day or two and digest everything that you have in front of you. And you have to compare it to other factors that we only touched on earlier in the episode to determine if what you are signing will bring you more value than your current situation. So what does value mean? Value means more than just money. And for some of you, you may say, "Jeff, I don't care about any of that other stuff. I just want to get paid." That's fine. That's you. For other people like myself and others, vacation days matter. Remote work matters. Having a flexible work schedule matters. Having a shorter commute matters. Getting out of my current company matters. Or I'm unemployed and I need a job. That matters. All of those other variables have value to you. So for example, if you're commuting an hour each way currently, but this new job is only a 20-minute commute each way, you are going to save 80 minutes a day of just commuting. There's a value there. That's 80 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes of your day that you now have back. That's worth something to you. Exactly how much? I can't say. Everybody's different. If you've been in the same job for 5 or 10 years and you're just bored out of your mind, or you're burned out and you're tired of the politics, or there's nowhere for you to go, and this new company represents a fresh start or a vast improvement and a place where you can really expand on your skills, then that has a value. And that's what you have to think about. All of those pieces, the job title, is it going to be fulfilling for you? Your new manager versus your old manager. What kind of experience will you get? Does it look like a place where you will enjoy working? All of those things have to now be thrown into the hopper so you can make the final decision, because that's the beauty of salary negotiation. The last word is yours. You have the power to say no if it's not good enough. So to wrap up this episode, practice the salary negotiation discussion with a friend, with a loved one, with a coach. And the more you practice it, the more confident you will be. Because when you are talking to recruiters or talking to HR and giving them your salary range, you want to do it confidently. You're only speaking a couple of sentences, but you want to deliver it confidently. And then when the final offer is in front of you, factor in everything about this new position and how your life will change to determine if the salary, the job title, the vacation days, the bonus percentage, the commute, the work, the new manager, the hours, that all of that will bring you more value than your current situation. And if the answer is yes, then you can sign your name. That's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to visit Jeff Magnuson Consulting and drop me a line on my website. I'll see you at the next episode.